what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvault, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Owen Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik86, Jeranism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Guitar Craig, Renee, Rob, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock App, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker, Tom Hawkins, Windrider, I think there's a couple on the next page, just bear with me 1 second, The Real Gabster, and I think that's pretty much it. Tom Herkins, Tina Baker, Real Gabster, FlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike. Yeah, that's everyone. Massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I think when I start a live show, I'll probably do a couple of shout outs to a few of the Penguin channel members as well. So in the meantime, we are joined by a few people in both Discord and G+, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for the first live show of the day.
And your currency there.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, Nathan.
Last time I checked, I think it was something like 12 rand to the dollar or something.
Okay. Yeah, I know that when I look into boat builders, they there's a good exchange for the boats that are made in South Africa versus Europe because of the high cost of labor in Europe and then the conversion rate. So if you're going to buy a boat, go to South Africa.
Yeah, if you get paid in dollars.
Yeah, if you get paid in dollars, and then you can cruise it or sail it back home.
Well, you'll be surprised, like in Cape Town and stuff. Easily half the population there are from overseas because everybody just buys there because it's quick. It's much cheaper.
Not too many major airports, or
No, I'm saying a lot of people are foreigners that buy property in Cape Town because it's cheaper to buy from currencies over.
so they're just looking at it as investment.
Yeah, it's quite a good investment. I mean, got some friends over there. They bought a house like 4 years ago, and the price is quadrupled already for them.
That's because the foreigners keep buying them. Supply and demand. Yeah, the elites have to do something because the central banks are in trouble. They've been printing money without any actual reserves, actual wealth like gold or silver or anything like that. So they need a crisis in the world so they can reset everything.
Yeah, well, they want to crash the system eventually.
System is just being kept up by more
Yeah, well,
printing.
they want to crash the system eventually. So
yeah, well, That's the whole plan. Because they've abused it, they need to crash it to get rid of all the real records and start all over. So they need a war or a crisis or maybe a virus, a global pandemic.
I don't know. I don't think it's good to dwell on those thoughts.
No, I'm not dwelling on it. You can just see it. I'm going to call it what it is. You can be a thief and steal under $1,000 a day and you won't go to jail. Oh, this sounds like lawlessness to me.
Yeah, well, the corrupt are in power.
Yep. Well, that's why the scripture says God will come and make the crooked way straight again.
I just don't see how you can sell out eternity with God for money.
A lot of people do, my friend. The pleasures of now outweigh eternity for them.
Crazy.
Everyone has to make their choice.
Yep. Believe it or not, I was stinking rich this stage.
You were what?
I was also stinking rich at this stage. I had a lot of money.
I know people with a lot of money. They're very unhappy. I know a lot of people with no money, and they're very happy.
Yeah.
And everything
It's
in
weird how
between.
weird how that works, eh?
Yeah, and everything in between. So it's nice to be comfortable, but it's better to be happy.
So this morning I was listening to a very, very old flat earth debate like 4 years ago. Destiny's channel and listening to the arguments. I actually commented there, if they had to come and have the same arguments today, the globe would have no side. They'd totally get demolished.
I was thinking about what 10th Man said, and that's what I was thinking too. It's all like the battle in the mind. It's
Yeah.
all like your mindset and stuff like that. And a lot of things that we do is like in the flesh. And like the flesh does never get satisfied. It's like just hungers more.
Yeah. Well, that's where the
Yeah.
devil attacks people is the mind. And that's why God says, use your mind, protect your mind. Set it on things above, not things below. Mind is very important.
I also had a chat about this yesterday briefly. It seems like people who like build their mindset on a weak foundation, I think that's why people like kind of go like senile. Because you notice how some people are of sound mind into their old age and some aren't.
Yeah.
That
think
and
they
the
just-
metal and the chemtrails and stuff probably infiltrating their mind and causing the degeneration mentally.
Yeah, but if you know scripture, it says we're
We're
not
talking about
wrestling
another.
against flesh and blood. We're wrestling against, like,
It's
principalities and all that.
it's a real war. That and the fact that people's diets have no fat. Your brain needs a lot of fat. No high quality fats anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some aspect of that, but we're talking a whole different matter.
Yeah, we're more on this talking spiritual.
Yeah.
Ah.
I don't know where I can get spiritual T-bone steak anywhere, but my food is the Bible, the Word of God.
Amen.
See, what the world does is, yeah, amen. What the world does is that it keeps you in that low vibration, constant distraction, carnal, and even mentally carnal. Is it a phrase used in the Bible is called the desires of the mind. So not only just carnality in terms of physical, but also the desires of the mind, you know? That means trying to feed your mind with information instead of getting knowledge and wisdom and spiritual bread.
Yeah, there's lots of scriptures that talk about set your mind on these things, and it talks about spiritual things versus the fleshly desires. But a big contrast between those that follow the dictates and appetites of the flesh, you know, the natural wantings that we all have to discipline ourselves, versus the mind, which is very important to guard, and what you watch and what you don't watch, what you listen to, what you don't. I mean, this is why my family and Nathan's family don't watch TV, and others have, you know, doing the same thing. Why are you going to have a portal of a boob tuber that lying to you all the time?
Well,
Yeah, and I think, you know, let's say with everyone with their faces planted in their phones constantly, isn't it that, you know, even the physical carnality is something Satan doesn't seem to be that sort of interested in the sense that he wants to just overwhelm the mind constantly in the modern world.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about our carnality. We already have it. That's the problem. He just adds to it.
Yeah, he feeds off of it.
What were you going to say, Nathan?
I say it's interesting seeing other YouTubers when I scroll through my subscription feeds, because I can tell pretty much instantly which ones have and which ones haven't got a television set by what they're talking about. Because the TV's poison, and you can see who's been poisoned by it. How, by the way, they parrot it, especially the fear porn. Just interesting. Like, I was listening while I was making my coffee, and you were talking about a virus, a worldwide virus that they might release. Now, I'm sure you were actually referring to the current virus that's in the news. I'm sure that that's what you were talking about. But it has no influence over me. I'm not the slightest bit concerned about it. When the last virus, which I think was SARS, was around, I was doing business in China and travelling over China, and it just wasn't like it was portrayed. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree with you. It's all a game. It's just fear porn. That's all it is.
Right, but it works, is my point. And lots of people who acclaim truthers, I've literally seen thumbnails of people pointing at their television sets in the thumbnail. Look, the television says we're all going to die. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, have you heard, Nathan, one point that Russell Brand made when he was criticizing TV a few years ago? He said it's the tone. It's actually, he used the word cadence. It's the cadence of how they speak on TV that really gives it away. And you need to stop. I mean, not you, but everyone needs to stop watching TV for at least a few years or a few months before, when you turn it back on again, then you realize that cadence is so like sickening, you know?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Well, remember the Ebola in Texas? I heard I even saw it at that time on the news that they were, these people have to wear these suits, and it's contagious, and this, and then it just disappeared. It went away because they did what they had to do, and then it's over. No, this will all disappear too. Same thing. They'll make a big deal out of it, and then, okay. It's all conditioning for what they really want to do anyway.
Yeah, now that I agree in the sense that now that we know the technology that they have and what they're hiding from us, they can do what they want. They can make it an outbreak. They can control it. And the media, they'll just let whatever plays out for the fun of it, you know, or whatever nefarious purpose they have. So yeah, I agree. It'll just fade out.
In my opinion, they're going to do a bunch of these things to create a situation where when they do the one that they really want to do, everyone's going to get vaccinated because they already have the vaccine for all the things that they unleash. And this is the whole goal, is to vaccinate everybody.
Well, you just got to strengthen your immune system with like good iodine and good nutrition. You know, then your immune system can fight any invader. You know, use colloidal silver. You know, there's other alternatives too.
Yeah, but we're not talking about everyone having the right to do whatever they want. We're talking about society turning against those that don't take the vaccine.
That's why I got to give people strength, that way they're not, fear porn to death. If they feel like they have alternatives, they're less likely to turn to the fear porn. Well, less likely anyway.
No, you're missing the point. The point is they want so much of that so that when your neighbor doesn't get vaccinated, you call the authorities on them.
Yeah, it's very 1984.
Even that doesn't make sense, though, because if they're vaccinated, the neighbor is a problem. I mean, people have shown that people with the vaccines of measles and others still spread sickness. The vaccine sheds and they infect others. And the immune system of people that have been vaccinated has actually been shown experimentally to be less hardy and less robust than people who aren't vaccinated. So the science really points toward people who aren't vaccinated being more healthy.
Agreed, but that's not the topic. We're talking about the lynch mob that's crazed up already, and you're going to tell them the facts as they come with the rope?
Yeah, I had even a colleague, and this was even like more than 5 years ago, and he was like, he didn't even have children at the time. Not saying that that's anything wrong, but he was already saying like, oh, why should unvaccinated children go and mix around with vaccinated children and all this, and he just didn't grasp. And this was years ago, so yeah, they can easily whip them up into a frenzy at some stage, or they already are in a frenzy,
Yeah, they're already changing the laws here. It used to be you could say you don't want it because of a religious reason. Now they're taking that out. The state is going to force it on people very soon, starting with California that says you can't go to public school without it. And so then it's going to creep into the homeschoolers. It's just total authority so they can, because if you create such a situation where everyone, so to speak, gets vaccinated, they can put anything in there to control people through the drugs that they've achieved and mind control or whatever. They want the power to infect you whenever they want and cover it as a vaccine to help you.
They've pretty much had this in Australia for, well, as long as I can remember, but they've really clamped down the past probably 5 years. And now if you've got kids that go to daycare, they've all got to be vaccinated. They can't go to school unless they're vaccinated. That's for any school. And if you actually don't vaccinate your kids and you're like a single parent, say you're on social security or welfare, if you're depending on that, they'll actually take your social security and welfare away if you don't vaccinate your kids. So you can pretty much lose everything, end up on a street without, if you end up not vaccinating. They've literally given us no choice here in Australia. You have to do it.
Good.
Yep, well said. That's the plan.
Well, I don't know if it's good. I mean, people should still have the right to have a choice. They're pretty much make it that, either you do it or we take everything away from you, which is pretty crap.
Well,
the problem is the majority of the people out there are ignorant, and they just believe that it's the right thing because that's what they're told,
Let me give you a story.
This stuff's clearly being tested. It's no, it hasn't. It literally, they same with this coronavirus. If they do come up with a vaccine, they're not going to go and do all these trials on it. They're just going to quickly do it and then give it to everyone without having it tested properly. Because yeah, man. Because I literally know this because here in Perth, there's scientists here who were the ones that actually just successfully grew the coronavirus so they can start working on a vaccine. No other people in the world have been able to do it. So kudos to Perth, my hometown. But yeah.
No, don't buy that crap. That's just ridiculous. They already have it. They already announced within 3 months they'll have it. This is all fabricated.
My friend's in Hong Kong, right? He's one of my best mates, and I was talking to him last night. And you guys take this as you will, but he reckons that this has been going on for nearly a month and a half, and it's only just got out. Like he lives in Hong Kong, and what actually happened is, I don't know if it was those protests that they were saying was like about other things, but he reckons people were protesting because they wanted to shut the border off to China because they knew about the coronavirus. And then what ended up happening is all the doctors and nurses over there went on strike, and they said, we're not going to come back to work until you close the border off to China. And they did it, but they did it too late, and the disease had already crossed over. But it kind of coincided like around the same time when they were having those riots in Hong Kong that they said were for a completely different thing. It was interesting.
I heard a little comparison. Last year, 624,000 people died worldwide of the flu. 100 people have died from this. This is all fabricated.
Yeah.
The world is a stage. It's all theatre. So
can you imagine how much like it's going to create like if you think about it, right? Like if they do this and everyone goes out and buys, people are doing this now. They'll go out and buy stockpiles of food. They'll go and buy pretty much heaps. Every family will probably be spending like thousands of dollars. It's a global stimulus package. Think about it like that. Okay, all the economies are F's. What's a great way of helping economies try and get a little bit of a boost back? Oh, we'll just create this false flag and let everyone spend their money. And what better way than letting them spend it willingly, thinking they're doing the right thing, but they're actually just wasting their money. It's a perfect idea.
It's you mentioned that Hong Kong.
Hey,
It's a perfect crowd. It's a perfect crowd control to stop all the riots against the Chinese government by saying the vaccine. Yeah. So all the freedom-loving people stay indoors.
Have you not realized it's always in the places with high population?
You think about how much money is being generated because of this, because when people are spending their money on all this, it's a huge amount of money. It literally would be a worldwide stimulus package. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. I thought it was quite interesting.
I've got a question for you. If you, while we're on that topic, do you think that the Australian fires, obviously there's a variety of purposes to it, but it's also some sort of economic stimulus because now there's going to be huge amounts of donations coming in, money used to reconstruct and do this and that?
Well, the government have been giving a whole heap of shit to a lot of the charities here because they're getting so much money, but it's not getting given to the people that need it. They're holding on to it, and it's almost like they're earning interest off of it. It's pretty shit. The fires are actually the media is quieting down on it and no one's talking about it, but they're still burning. 8% of ACT, which is our Australian Capital Territory where Canberra is, 8% of that state has just burnt in the last week, and they're having a heat wave coming up, which is I think starting tomorrow. It's crazy over there. Get this right. They're having a heat wave in the eastern states. They're going from the high 40s, and then this is in Tasmania as well. But then 2 days later, it's going to be snowing in Tasmania. They're going from 40 degree temperatures down to snow in 2 days. What the what's going? This is just Australia is just all weird at the moment. It's just. I don't know what is going on. Nothing makes sense here at the moment. It's just I can't describe it. It's really.
Seems like weather manipulation.
Excuse me.
Sorry, just last thing before you go. Some sort of weather manipulation going on, whether it's chemtrails or something else. Because it is a bit bizarre.
Well, we don't really have chemtrails here. I've never seen them here. We're not in WA anyway, but. I see videos online in the US where there's literally checkerboard lines all through the sky, but there's lines and lines like a grid. That's never ever happens here. But I don't know what's going on.
Also, the amount of money that's been raised is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So
Yeah,
mean, that
St.
money
Vincent de
alone
Paul
would
and
probably
like
be
the
enough
Red
to give.
Cross and the Salvation Army's raised like $200 million plus dollars, and I think they've only given like 5.7 million, and the rest is just sitting in their
But
coffers, like earning interest.
also, I mean, how many of the people who lost their homes probably have house insurance that covers it anyway, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people
That
don't,
would
man, because like over here at the moment, our economy's like the government's like, oh yeah, economy's fine. Like, man, like all my mates
but a
work in
lot of people
construction,
would.
and they're all losing their. They do, but like it's people are working and they have just enough money to get by. They're not going and spending on all this stuff, and a lot of people can't even afford insurance, man. Like it's expensive, and then these poor bastards like get their house burnt down and they've got nothing. But then, like, if the government declares a national emergency, then like the government has to like pay out on it. When they declare a national disaster or something like that, and they get these relief funds and then help people out. Once that happens, and they might get something. But
But most of the victims of the
that's
fire
why pretty
aren't
much all of
poor
Australia is
in
like
poverty
got all this
people.
money together to help these people, but they're not getting the money.
So wouldn't you say also this is another big opportunity for the bank to keep giving out more loans, because it's predatory in a sense that the bank are going to be swooping in to say, hey, we're going to help you out, but the banks are not charities. What they're basically doing is saying, we're going to help the farmers, we're going to help XYZ by giving more loans, right?
Farmers are already struggling, mate. Like there's been drought. Do you know how many farmers in Australia commit suicide at the moment? Like it's a huge, huge amount. Like because there's been so much drought that farmers have just lost everything. They're shooting cattle daily. Like they have no food for their animals. And now like the ones that were like just holding on have just lost everything. Like it's like we
But
literally
then how
have
is
no
the
farmers
population
producing food at the
still
moment.
being fed though? So
I've
Excuse
how are
me?
heard
people?
one or two stories like that, but I don't think there's that many cases that are that bad.
What, of farmers committing suicide? Look it up, mate.
Yeah.
It's bad. It is quite bad.
Yeah, it's even happening in South Africa, so I know what you're talking about.
That's not just true of Australia, that's true for farming.
Yeah. Yeah, farming there's a high
But then
suicide
people are still
rate.
being fed. So where's the
Let's
food coming
just
from?
let's
Sorry.
just say they're forcing everyone into the cities where they can control us better. Thank you.
Ding ding.
1984. I was a bit lazy the last 2 weeks, so I ended up just getting the audio book of 1984. I'd read it before, but like I wanted to just have something in the background to listen to while I was at work, and it was really well read audio book, and man, I was just like, we're so in the same kind of construct that's portrayed in 1984. It's crazy. I love Big Brother. Double speak. I just find it fascinating how he wrote all this stuff and how accurate it was. But he was in a time where there wasn't any technology that came close to that. And he's talking about like tele, the tele screens on the wall that could talk to you, and it's just the guy was a very, very smart man. Great book. People should read it.
Yeah, the US have politically completely lost their rocker in the last few years. It's a total clown show. It's just it's just shocking. I'm in awe, honestly, at the ridiculousness of it all.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, Then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Mind Warped, Righteous Force, Flatzoid, and Chocolate Sane in G+. Very good to have you all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Have you got a loogie, Nathan? You sound like you've
Good morning.
got a bit of a chesty thing.
I'm alright, I'll live. We're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome to everyone in Discord.
Hello.
G'day, g'day.
Good day. How's it going?
You can always pick the Aussie, eh?
Going well.
G'day.
Good, thanks.
So, we've been covering the various different housekeeping questions over the course of the last week. So, today being Friday, next week we'll pick it up again. But so far we've covered physical edges of spheres, actual Earth curvature, axial rotation, gravity, and today, I don't know, what do you reckon? Should we cover the distance to the Sun?
Woohoo!
Sure.
So let's ask the question first and foremost. Any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
No.
No, everything would just be assumption.
Okay. Hey, Owen, how's it going?
Well, they
Hi,
assumed
Owen.
that the Earth was moving millions of miles in space as the baseline of the triangle. If you use another method, just using the rays of the sun and where they touch the Earth, you get a distance no greater than 3,000 to 10,000 miles away. So it really just varies depending on your method and your assumptions.
Absolutely. So there's
How
quite
would
a
you
few assumptions.
verify what the sun actually is?
Yeah, we're not going to get into that
Uh,
because none of us have the answer to that. But in terms of what we're told, we're given a very specific distance. So how do they calculate that distance? Is everyone on the panel aware of how they actually come to the distance currently for the Sun?
Sticks.
No, that's yeah, kind of. That's one of the processes to get the radius for Earth.
Points.
Go on.
Yeah.
Sticks and
That's
stones can break
calculation.
your bones, but
Didn't
can't
they make
move
an
your
assumption
Just one at a
that
time.
the ball that
Hello,
Go on. Whoever, just one at a time.
can I say my
Well-
thing?
well, didn't they assume that Earth was a ball first, and then assume that it was the same size as Venus, which they also assumed was a ball?
Yes, that's the basic long and short of the assumption. So with an application of Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, transit of Venus with the assumption that it's the same size as the R value derived by assuming Earth is a sphere and then getting a radius value. So yeah, that's the long and short of it.
Can I add a saying to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Sticks and stones can break your bones, but can't prove the Earth's a globe.
Yeah, that requires an assumption. So shout out to Colin
Can I offer-
Turner. You can think of the Sun as having a distance. Yeah, as Lemon Bird said, with a few assumptions and yeah, bit of spherical maths, you can put it at whatever distance you like, and it's changing as well. You can vary some of those assumptions and obviously change the distances. The problem with the distances, and I think this was covered by Globebusters first and foremost, was when you have these absolutely enormous distances, you then end up with a necessity to increase the size of those bodies exponentially. So you end up with these absolutely ginormous stars to compensate for the fact that they're at these vast distances based on their assumptions. So there you go. There's the
One
distance.
question.
Go ahead.
One question. Are right angles straight or curved?
Well, if you assume an R value, then you've got to curve something at some point. Well, that was quick.
Yeah. And you're not going to get Globus to try and prove the sun either.
It's just, like I say, that's the long and short of the string of assumptions that you get. So it's not necessarily the most debated about subject on the show, because it's fairly concise to debunk it in terms of the assumptions that are needed to be made in Are They Trust. That's it.
Well, if you can't verify the distance because, say, there's a firmament in the way or some sort of barrier that NASA's, not telling us about, well, then the only thing that would be left would be assumptions and theories. The thing is, you need to watch when the theories fall apart and become untenable. Especially if we're seeing, local rays that doesn't jibe with millions and millions of miles away. When those assumptions fall apart, they need to make new assumptions that are a bit more consistent with reality at the very least.
Indeed.
Anybody see me on Ranties yesterday?
I saw you debating with a non-moto, if that's what you're talking about.
Yep. And after that with Brenda, a bit.
I didn't see that,
So
sorry.
debating is a big word concerning her.
Give us the lowdown.
I haven't been here for a while, so she's still hanging around, is she?
Oh God, yes. Unfortunately, it's very.
You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to know what she thinks about apples.
Bro, yesterday
I don't
she
want to
said
know
that,
anything that she has to say.
the reason Newton's apple falls down is because the ground is in the apple's future.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Last time I heard of her, she was saying, every single time I come on and have talk to you flat earthers, I win every single debate. I'm like, yeah, right. No, you don't.
That's still very much a track on her stuck record.
Yeah, like she legit
She
thought that.
Win, no matter what.
I'll let you think that. It's fine.
Don't worry.
Well, the only thing about time is you can't go up and down the length of time like you can go up and down the length of a physical thing like a car. It's not physical, it's a one-directional. If it is anything at all beyond a concept, it only appears to flow in one direction. Therefore, you can't really graph it along with other physical things.
It doesn't have a direction.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Bible literalist Paula. She said you can't travel a concept. Very well put.
It reduces down to a metaphysical materialism, an attempt to make everything in reality, including concepts, material. Next, they'll be graphing love, feelings, emotions, the mind. They'll be trying to make a material out of everything that's non-material.
Sounds like the Matrix.
Pretty much. Dialectic materialism.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of things that have happened with exoteric religions, where they basically turn everything into a god, like the multiple icon type of religion. And it's kind of almost the same way. Instead of the religion turns everything into a part of their religion, and these physics try to turn everything into material, even concepts.
That is true. They already have gravity, which is allowed to be self-referential. What accumulates gravity? Mass. What accumulates, mass? Gravity. It's circular. And it's a very godlike force. It's the one miracle they need for their materialism to be somewhat intelligible.
Yeah, they need the entire existence to have come out of nothing. So you're going to have a certain nihilistic person that's going to very much enjoy that idea and reifying it into existence for exactly the reasons you've given. It makes the person who's doing it seem, maybe in their own mind or to other people below them, like gods. And doesn't that sound just so appealing?
Indeed.
So appealing.
Yeah, but they're not. They're just blokes and women. Flesh and blood, same as all of us.
So there's no globus.
It's ironic that the materialists still need a miracle, a singularity, something to kind of break their rules just once to establish their.
Well,
Everything breaks their rules.
It's not a miracle.
Despite the fact that it breaks the rules of their system totally, a miracle usually just breaks the normal rules of how things operate.
But if you invent a new word for it, then it's not a miracle.
Miracle versus singularity. It's a singularity.
Yeah, the first law of
Hey,
thermodynamics completely screws that idea.
Singularity is pretty sure it's a concept.
Hey, chocolate.
If the birth of existence came out of nature, and nature is governed by natural law, then everything can't have been born out of nature. It violates the first law of thermodynamics. So you have to have an external entity, even within their own rules. So, for me, the first law of thermodynamics is the single thing that points squarely at a creator, because their rules don't have the facility to create anything. So what are you left with? It's the ontological primitives, basically. Shout out to Matthew Stevenson. A miracle is the suspension of natural order. Hey, I like that.
Hey, Tam, if you were calling me.
Yeah, I was. What was that quote of Brenda with the future of the apple?
She said the reason the apple falls is because the ground is in the apple's future.
So my question is, hang on. So my question is, how does it end up in my apple pie?
She's not a very good future fortune teller.
Did she really say that?
No.
Did she really say that?
She just said that yesterday.
There's a logical answer
Really?
to that within their rhetoric.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Ah, thanks. That's really useful. While I'm trying to explain that it does have a coherent explanation within the heliocentric rhetoric. The apple followed its geodesic line to your pie. Obviously, your pie was in the apple's future.
Is that why they called that pie?
Chocolate was the actual distance between the apple and the floor.
It's a pretty bad analogy.
I don't know, man. You would have to ask Brenda. That's crazy. But then she completely conceded that concepts don't do anything. So I don't know where you go from there.
Well, you're going nowhere. Gonna stay in your head.
Yeah,
And when you just thought they couldn't say anything dumber, they do.
They want their way of thinking about things to have an effect on the world. It's just crazy. You point that out to them.
What's great?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was just going to say that you point that out to them, and they just start lying to themselves. So they'll define how space-time is a concept, how it will be described mathematically, and how it is describing something that happens in actuality. But then, when you point out to them that that concept can't cause anything, they'll then tell you that it's not a concept anymore. So they'll just lie to themselves because their own religion doesn't make any sense when you break it down for them. So they just have to lie to themselves. It's quite sad. Shouldn't have to lie for an explanation in regards to how reality works. Shouldn't need to lie about it, but they do, and they have to lie to themselves, which is why I keep saying that from the other side of the fence in this debate, it's got to be quite cognitively painful being challenged by us, and none of us are stressed out about it. You know, obviously we have our heated moments in debate, but I don't know about any of you guys, I can only speak for myself, but I don't leave this debate going, oh no, what about this aspect of flat earth not being proven yet? I don't do that at all, or give a great deal of consideration to the conversations after they've ended. But I'm pretty certain by some of the adverts I get from other videographers that it's very troubling for them. And it shows.
Arwen, did you see the citation I put in Master B?
Sorry?
Did you see this citation I put in Master B?
Which one?
Like the one with this about the slanted optics.
Slanted optics? What? Where? When was that? That's
the direct manipulation of perspective.
I don't see the quote.
But while you figure that one out, hey Nathan, that picture that Ranty showed yesterday of the platform, Hill House, the first one in the Black Swan image.
Yeah.
He narrowed in and zoomed in on the shadows that the platform on the edges caused on the water directly under it.
Yeah, that's a useful thing to highlight, but then not dwell on, because the argument's about horizon. So it's one of them. I heard a new guy who I had not heard before. I think he's not heard before. I think he's been on the debate, but he's not he's not constantly around. Irish chap that was on Ranty's show, and he was trying to highlight that, and it got acknowledged once, but then he kept bringing it up, and it was making me cringe because I'm thinking, the more you focus on that particular aspect of the photo, which isn't key to the argument, the more they'll just want to focus on it and try and explain that particular aspect. Oh yeah, well, the land and the shadows all being loomed, or whatever they explain it with, it doesn't matter. And yeah, it's interesting. It points that there is no horizon in front of it, but beyond that, it's kind of, what else are you going to use that for? It's not integral to the actual modus tollens proof, is it?
Well, when QE says, look how much in the tizzy they went, because QE just said, even if it was 3 feet, 5 feet, 35 feet, it doesn't matter because it's still beyond where it should be. So they saying, well, he said it was 5 feet and you said it was 1 foot. And they used that to kind of convolute the whole argument when that wasn't what QE was saying. So I only use it for that point of view, so that even in the first platforms, which is 6.2 miles out, hey, sorry, buddy, the horizon can't be more than 1.23 miles. So you lose in every argument. And it's just a good one to have.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's worth discussing, because there's going to be people who are going to find the red herring angle in that image, because that's all they can do. So, there's going to be a whole string of red herrings. We've had at least a dozen already. So yeah, I'm not saying don't discuss it. I'm just saying that if you're the one actually punting that picture, that shouldn't be what you lead with. It's not the main crux of the argument. It might be something you have to deal with or use as a defence if somebody else has brought something else up and in rebuttal, but it's not the main crux of the argument, is all I'm saying.
No, it isn't, but it's a good one when they say the horizon is in front. You say, where? That one picture with all the arrows. Here's the horizon.
Point out the horizon.
Yeah, point out the horizon in this picture when we only see one.
Yeah, I love all the pictures when I go on Discord and I see them talking about it, and I see all these pictures with arrows pointing at the cranes on the oil rig, and they're like, "Oh, look at this, Black Swan dead," because the cranes are a little bit, distorted. It's like, guys, again, the argument is the horizon way further back than it's supposed to be on your stupid little model.
No, but they have to obfuscate.
Of course they do, but I'm saying it's such a joke because they're sitting there putting arrows on it, pointing. Oh, look, guys, horizon. Why is it there?
I've yet to see them even try answer the actual question.
Because they already know they can't. They've tried. They only have one answer, and that one answer doesn't even work for them. Their little looming nonsense. Come on.
And when you ask them what's looming, they can't tell you.
Yeah. And when they do tell you, oh, so that doesn't work with what we're talking about then, huh? Okay.
So is it actual or not actual?
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Well, as Anik was saying yesterday, that truly the black swan image is truly a white swan image that's been painted black. So that's his new rhetoric.
It's been painted black. That's what he said. Really?
Yeah, but that means he's saying it's been doctored. Hold on, that's a defence that says this. It's akin to the CGI defence. No, this image is fake. Been painted that way.
Right.
Painted. Well, that can only be taken. That can only be taken in metaphor one way. Altered, changed, doctored, painted.
Yep, that's why I laughed as soon as he said painted.
I just can't see.
Damn, Zanuck, that's a loss, brother. Sorry.
I just can't see.
We need a CGI expert to analyze the footage.
Arwen. You have any decor, Arwen?
Go ahead, Tim, man.
No, let's.
Well,
That
either
makes sense
black
anyway.
swan and black swans exist, or white swan painted black. Either it's proof of a earth, or they're just going to say it's round, workaround for how round it is, even though it looks flat. Arwen, you were saying?
No, 10th man was saying something.
I was just making a joke. That's all.
Silence, Legolas.
It's,
Why so serious?
I mean, there comes a fork in the road where you either write workaround a theory that isn't working, the round earth in this case, or you just drop it and see, what's on the other side with other theories. Maybe it's time to look into the flat and come at this from a flat perspective. I mean, all the evidence is there, but it looks like it's been interpreted with the round earth paradigm. Let's reinterpret the evidence with the flat earth paradigm and see what we get.
There's very, very often very little interpretation to be had, though. So they take optical geometry, and that has started its life in a flat manner, so that they can then bend it at the various different angles that they bend it. Well, all of the manipulation comes after the fact to turn it into a sphere. So once you strip all that away, you're just left with flat. There's not a great deal to do. I'm smiling because I know this intrinsically. You got to work quite hard to turn the world we are living in into a sphere. So at the start of this journey, I'm like, this is a really quite magical, it's quite an intricate and clever magic trick. Because you've got to go some to change the flat world we live in to a sphere. It's not an easy task, but they've done it. My hat's off to them. But I can't last forever because of the amount of stuff you've actually got to do to accept that. Now, yeah, you can program people with it from birth so that they're kind of naturally doing it anyway, but it still requires a certain amount of cognitive processing. Now, we're in the debate. We don't just get to see that in a sort of background way, back of the mind kind of way. We see it right at the surface level. Yesterday with Brenda saying, well, the conceptual medium of space-time is real. Why? Well, because it doesn't work in your rhetoric of gravity doing things like it needs to in your model. That's been left as a kind of open-ended thing that's not quite resolved within the model yet. But we know it's incorrect and we can point it out to them, and then they have to just lie to themselves, literally. That kind of, I'm happy and content to lie to myself, we get to show to people. But that's only because you've got to continue that process. You've got to work cognitively hard to be on a ball. It's a bloody relief, I've got to be honest. You come to Flat Earth and it's like taking off a really heavy pair of boots. Because you're like, bloody hell, it's a lot easier walking around without this cognitive nonsense going on. And you remind yourself of all the times you suppressed that when you were a kid. I remember spinning the bucket around and going, their explanation for gravity makes no sense. But there we go. I'll put that to the back of my mind. And once you get to the point that you're like, I don't need any of that nonsense anymore, the justifications for the double speak, you just relinquish it all and you go, whew, that's quite nice. This is a lot easier.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so easy for us to change our mindset.
I concur 100%, Nathan. So simple, honestly. They've done a good job trying to turn this flat stationary world into a ball, but yeah, it's so simple when you realize it's not. It's like, okay. Sleep like a baby.
Just observe.
And the simplicity of reality is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that feel that when Nathan was describing before, that feeling of not having any stress, because it's like we don't have to wake up like, oh my God, how are we going to prove this? How are we going to prove that? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Whereas they've
it's
got to
just
wake
like,
up.
just wake up and go outside.
And it just is.
They have to wake up and go out and concern themselves with how they're going to bend their reality into their religious belief. And it doesn't matter if they've got all the arsenal in the world to change flat into a sphere. And then when we're like, oh no, we've just appreciated the obvious. And they go, no, listen to how we can program you back into programming flat that you observe and appreciate into sphere. And they argue with us about how to do that. And up until now, we've been arguing about, well, I just see that clock tower, I just see that oil rig, I just see that island. That's our argument. So basic. Their argument, as most people know my little rhetoric, is the slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of a clock tower from behind the reified Earth curve edge based on an R value and a begging the question perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator means that clock tower that you think you can just see is actually a holographic projection that we call a mirage. Well, that's quite complex, and to understand that and argue it is far more difficult. Now, yeah, they've got all the tools to do it, and everyone around them's brainwashed to do it alongside them, no matter how stupid they are, even if they don't fully understand it. So they're a massive army that's telling you that 2 + 2 is 5, and we're sitting here just going, meh. But which is more stressful? I know which is more stressful. It's definitely believing you live on a sphere.
Yeah, they're trying to destroy your
like
confidence.
that. We're just sitting here like, meh. That's great.
Yeah, they destroy people's confidence in the obvious.
And that's, why a lot of times these, religions spring up, because people fall in love with a portion of the truth, but they don't really fall in love with the whole truth. And, when you love, anything, a person or whatever, you look past. But the line in the sand, comes when the paradigm keeps you from making new observations and keeps you chained within one way of thinking, when there's a whole nother world outside of that, circularity. That's why the paradigm is important. The stories that we tell ourselves are important, because we wrap our minds around that paradigm and that story, even if there's stuff like, say, photos that are showing flat level land that are going against that story we were told of materialism and man being this, intelligent victor over the natural world, and using his man-made, rational science to formulate philosophy and formulate a theory of how everything in the world works based on man versus something else. So now we're seeing those that look, like flat land, and just wrapping it around that, that ball. That's why the paradigm is so important, and the stories that we tell ourselves beyond even the science is so key, because we just wrap our minds around those stories subconsciously.
Yeah, they're ingrained from birth.
You see it in the movies, you see it on the news, global community versus planar. It's in the classrooms with the little globe that's there in kindergarten, first grade. It's everywhere.
Wow.
Maybe that's an angle we should focus on, because, like I say, performing the acrobatics mentally to take yourself from flat plane to spherical geometry, and all the lies that we're pointing out you have to tell yourself to do so, and how cognitively painful that is when you do it, you'd think that most people would hear these words right now and go, might it be worth at least examining the idea of not bending flat into sphere so I can believe what I'm told by the powers that be? Let's just have a little look at that. Just a cursory glance. That's all it takes. You're fucked. But yeah, maybe a few people will do that and go, well, yeah, maybe I don't need to fight for this nonsense. What's it actually giving me? Unless you've got a shitload of skeletons in your closet, then that nihilistic outview is actually quite handy to deny all that crap that you might be guilty of.
Yeah, that's the thing, that just knowing is with this, something like this, is not just like, oh, it's a lie, it's a conspiracy, so on and so forth. You really have to do something about it, because there are some very, very serious consequences if this is a contained system. A, B, a creator. C, there's no other universes or anything like that. It's very, very consequential.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but I think if you are that type of person with lots of skeletons in your closet, a nihilistic outview is the best one. You don't have to concern yourself with any of that. Whereas if you might be judged for it, you're going to concern yourself with it a great deal, and brace against any sort of worldview that might lead to you being forced to look at yourself in those ways. when you might have subdued all of the horrible things you've done over your life. Again, I'm smiling. Don't get me wrong, I'm no angel, but by the same token, I know by the type of people we're dealing with that they're bastards. You know, if they're like that online when they've got anonymity, you know, that's normally a good look at the inside of someone and how they'll behave, what they're really like, because they can get away with it, right? So you just get to see what they're like, and they're bastards. And you think, yeah, I would probably imagine that you're generally like that, and that will lead to you being nasty in a way that you might not want to admit and subdue or not tell anyone. The skeleton's in the closet. Well, you're not going to want to be able to. You're not going to be on a track that leads you to any possibility of there being a creator. No way. You're going to want to deny that and fight like hell. That's what we get, right?
And that's going to be most of the world population now. Just like, I want to do my own thing because it doesn't matter, because you've already been indoctrinated into the globe. So now for most of the world to reverse from that would be very difficult, I would say, for most.
I don't necessarily agree.
No, it will kill itself off.
I agree.
Time.
It requires too much mental acrobatics, and they've got to keep topping you up, drip feeding you, to keep up that indoctrination. That's got to be consistent and concise and constant from them, always, and from birth. And that's if that in any way stopped, you might just realise it of your own volition. You might not even need telling. So no, I don't think it's like you're going to have to suddenly go around waking everybody up. If the brainwashing and programming in regards to this false religion of a sphere Earth stopped, I don't think it'd take very long at all.
So, but then are they going to just go to simulation then, to just say, like, you know, as a sort of like saving, quote unquote, saving grace, as we're here? Like, it's all random and.
Well, you've just jumped to.
So who cares?
You've just jumped to the next appeal to authority. So, well, what will they say next? Well, I'm of the opinion that if you're going to relinquish a load of lies, just again, I can only speak for me. At that point, I go, no, that person's not useful to me anymore. They're just going to lie to me. So I'll try and distance myself from that person and take with a pinch of salt anything they do tell me. Whereas if you're the type of person that looks to the news for them to actually confirm that it's flat, and they've just stopped telling you it's a sphere every day, well, then that person's going to be a bit lost. And, you know, there is no help for that person. They're going to be influenced by whatever next man with a seeming authority tells them. Well, you know, obviously there's a fair chunk of people like that. You know, they just want to be told what's what. And if they get told it's a simulation, or they get told it's a parallel universe, or they get told that we've actually travelled through time, you know, they're going to believe it if it's been punted in a way that they're used to having that information drip fed to them. So most likely the television set.
Yeah, that's really my fear, that as they prepare for this and as the globe falls apart, they're just going to, you know, they just have to use the same techniques as before with the mind control, the pre-programming and so on. Then they're just going to shuffle most people onto the next eye, as it were.
It's under the noses of a lot of people in a way that you know, you can only get a vague idea about. Give you an example. So, searching through various handicrafts and other things that I watch on YouTube just to take my mind off whatever I'm doing, you know, sort of escapism. And one of the things I came across was a guy making a laminate table with bits of wood in it. And he said, based on what people had told me, they said it looks like the Earth with all these bits of wood with this blue laminate poured into it and then all shined up. So he says, I'm going to call it the Flat Earth table. You think that's obviously reasonably in the front of his mind for him to label it that way, whereas rather than just calling it Earth table, it's very specifically the Flat Earth table. In other words, this has reached the point where it's part of popular culture now. So the ones that are inquisitive will look into it. The ones that need to be told are going to be told it's bullshit. You know, there's probably a Wikipedia little entry right underneath me right now saying this that tells people what's what from an authoritarian source. And, you know, that covers them, basically. The people who want to remain with a heliocentric worldview, they don't need to do it much to the current existing network and cogs. You know, just a little bit of grease here, an extra cog there, and it just keeps on ticking over. But like I say, if if there weren't the cogs there in the first place, I just don't think a deprogramming would be needed. You wouldn't have to suddenly go around convincing people. You know, watch a bit of Phuket Word. None of the people out there being brainwashed by, although they are now to a degree, but to a certain level, there's a certain type of person out there in Phuket that's just not exposed to it. And they just appreciate that the world they're living is flat because that's what they're presented with. And they don't give it a second thought. Well, like, we have got a huge chunk of the Western world brainwashed with this stuff. So yeah, there's going to be it might be a generational thing. It might be only a single generation. So if the next generation wasn't being brainwashed with heliocentricity, they probably wouldn't give it a second thought and would just take in the general nature of the world that they're experiencing. But the people above them in the previous generations, well, 2 or 3 generations, they'll be dead, so who cares? But, you know, if they ended up in a bit of cognitive strife, well, they know to blame, don't they? Certainly not us. So why would we need to tell them? That's why my attitude is like, well, I'm kind of not really here to convince anybody. I know what's what. I'm happy, you know, and I really enjoy making YouTube videos and having debates about the subject because it's extremely interesting. And you know, when you kind of want to be a YouTuber, you think, I want to do something that's going to change the world, you know, in those kind of grandiose terms. I'm oversimplifying things, but you know what I mean? That's kind of the attitude. What can I do that'll be big? And then you come across a subject like flat, and you're like, this has literally changed the world. You couldn't have a better subject. So wonderful, but is my absolute aim to convert people? No. I don't have a religion to convert them to. I appreciate the nature of the reality around me, but is that worthy of conversion? No, you're still in the same place. It's just all the shit that you watch on TV and at the cinema and in the paper and on billboards. That's all telling you that you're standing on a sphere. So when it comes to actually processing cognitively the world around you, you go through a few hoops, do a bit of mental gymnastics, and convince yourself of that through your own cognitive output. Well, you could just strip all that away and just ignore it, and you wouldn't be any worse for it. Quite the contrary. Be far cognitively better off.
Aren't you scared, Nathan?
Scared of what?
Of the Freemasons, of the powers that be. You're telling truth to power. That's a no-no.
As I say, the powers that be told me it was a sphere, and I just see them as liars and try and remove myself from them as much as I possibly can. Obviously, there's limits, but am I scared? Absolutely not. What's to be scared of?
I mean, you're uncovering the biggest conspiracy in the history of the world.
What? The fact that it's flat?
You're telling truth to power.
Yeah, the fact that it's flat's obvious and observable. That's my rhetoric. I'm not covering the Freemasons. What are you talking about? I've interviewed people about it because I found it interesting, maybe once or twice, but it's certainly not a key part of the show.
It's just obvious.
But I'm just saying, there's a grand conspiracy. There's like 50 space agencies. It would have to be a very grand conspiracy, and it has to be people in very high places with a lot of money and a lot of power.
I don't know. It seems to me that the reaction to people like us flat earthers seems like it portrays that you guys are the one that are more scared.
Exactly.
Because it's like almost like your little world paradigm is falling to pieces around you, and you have to stop that. I mean, that's why you're here, isn't it? To debate us, to try to prove to people that you live on a ball, right? That's your purpose. Because like I say all the time, if you were comfortable with that, you would just be comfortable with that.
Are you scared? Hold on, let's just turn it around on its head. Are you scared?
Of what?
Well, of anything. The Freemasons, any of the list you gave me, I don't know. I couldn't, you know.
No, I'm not uncovering a world conspiracy, so I have no reason to be fearful.
Don't you think it would be stupid for them
You're
to
the one uncovering a world conspiracy by the powers, by the people in power.
Okay,
I mean, it's only logical that you would be scared.
What are those people going to do?
You're assuming there's a conspiracy. I'll just get to that in a minute. I'm just going to do a couple of quick shout outs. Shout out to Emma UK. Subscribe today to Emma. She's got some shows. Check her out. Tell 50. Is that right? To get on with this presentation. Okay. Thank you very much for the super chat. Mason B. The fundies have caught the black swan flu. Right on. And also a cruel vision ACV. I can't see what you've put, unfortunately. You're too low down on the list, but if I get another super chat, I'll see if I can read out what you've said. But thank you very much indeed for your support, all of you who've smashed the super chat. We don't
So
divide
50 would be unorthodox. So unorthodox, you have a presentation for us?
Well, I wanted to present a journal article.
Okay, good. Can you post it in live stream and I'll get
I've got to send it to you somehow. You got to show it.
Yeah, no worries. If you put it in the live stream chat, one of the guys on the panel will hopefully present it on the screen and the audience can then see it. No rush.
In Discord?
Yes, please.
I'll try to get it pulled up once he drops it in.
Okay, just before while he's doing that, just when he does his presentation, if you can just all hold off all comments till he's done and actually says he's finished. Let us know when you want to start on Orthodox.
I'm on mute.
Well, hold on, give me a second. Let me pull it up. But I mean, before we move on to this, it's only logical that you would be fearful if you're telling truth to power. You're going up against the most powerful, richest people in the world, and you're uncovering their conspiracy. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
But you're telling me there's a conspiracy.
That there is a
Hold on,
conspiracy?
you've got a contradiction. You're telling me there's a conspiracy, but simultaneously telling me that there isn't a conspiracy as far as you're concerned. But I should be scared.
According to your paradigm, your beliefs.
No.
Yes.
I'm not appealing to any motivation. I stop people from doing that on the show. I don't divine the motivation of the people who purvey this information to us. Now, if push came to shove, just to help you, because this is what you're angling for, if I was to, be put to task on the subject, I'd say there probably needs to be only a very small handful of people actually lying. The rest can be done via compartmentalisation. You don't need to tell everybody else what's going on. You just need to keep it in separate compartments. And then, as long as the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, you only need a few people to actually know what's really true and what isn't. So, am I exposing those people as liars? Well, no, because I don't appeal to their motivation. Somebody who's making a little part to go on a ship that's apparently going up to the second law of thermodynamics for sky vacuum, he doesn't think he's, lying to the general public. He's probably very proud of his work. And I've got no beef with that dude. Far from it. But when I describe the nature of my reality, I am not saying these Freemasons have lied to you about the nature of reality. The nature of reality is a lie if you believe it's a sphere, but that's directed at you and your claims that you bring here. I'm not attacking Freemasons. I couldn't give a shit.
Can I say something about that compartmentalization? I knew a guy just recently I met that worked at Oak Ridge National Lab, and he was supposedly worked on a component that went on the lunar lander. And when I sat down and talked to him, he said he could not confirm whether whatever he did actually went where they said it would. Because he worked here in Oak Ridge. He actually said that. He admitted that to me when we were talking about the moon landing. So you're right, Nathan, and this is somebody that actually worked on something that was supposedly be for the lunar lander.
So I've got no beef with him. He's not got any beef with me. If I describe the nature of our reality, obviously and observably flat, no harm, no foul. I've got absolutely no fear whatsoever. Hope that answers your question.
I mean, I guess it does, but that's a little delusional because your ideas are uncovering a mass conspiracy.
You've just said it's not a conspiracy. So what you're worried about is that if it turns out to be lies, you would be concerned that suddenly there'd be a massive conspiracy that you'd need to concern yourself with. That's what you're saying. You're just projecting it onto me.
No, I mean, this isn't complicated. You guys are talking about the grandest conspiracy ever presented.
You keep telling us
on
to
the
just go around in circles. Shout out to a Cruel Vision ACV who did get a shout out before, but religion is the biggest cover-up, not flat earth, by the way. If you say so, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also, a massive shout out to James Richard. The guy and all ballers who deny the truth are in on it as well. Maybe. In on it because they're punting the lie. They're shilling for the lie. But that's not necessarily intentional paid shillery. I know you're not saying paid shillery, but...
Can I give my...
Get on, Flatside. Go ahead. So they're not necessarily paid shills. But they're shilling nonetheless. If they're punting heliocentricity, they're shilling for heliocentricity. That's the bottom line. Hey, QE.
Can I try there, Nathan?
Yeah?
Yeah. So so if it's in his mind, so he keeps saying conspiracy.
Yeah, we can. Hold on, just one sec, Ranty. Go ahead, Flatsword. We lost you for a second there. you realise that we've got another guest who's waiting to do a presentation, everyone. Just so you know. Right,
okay. I just wanted to confirm, though, when he says that we're uncovering the greatest conspiracy, well, if it's... So if in our mind, right, it's the truth, okay? In his mind, it may be a conspiracy. So what's he asking? Are we to be scared that we're unveiling the truth? Well, if we're unveiling the truth, it's not a conspiracy. If we're unveiling the truth, it is no longer a conspiracy. And I think that's what Nathan's trying to get here, is that it can't be both. Your terminology of saying it's a conspiracy, the only way we get scared is if it's true, in which case it's no longer a conspiracy. We're unveiling the truth.
Conspiracy and truth are two totally different things, Ranty. You can conspire to cover up the truth. And that's what your claim is, that the powers that be are conspiring to cover up the truth.
Not necessarily. I said that you could easily compartmentalise it with only a handful of individuals knowing the actual truth, and everyone else just goes about their merry day. They're not conspiring to hide the truth from anybody. They're just, as described by Paul, they're just doing their business, making a piece of equipment, shipping it off to where it goes, and then getting on with the next bit of the work that they do. They go home and they tell everyone how proud they are, and that's it. They're not conspiring, they're not rubbing their hands together going, I convinced so many people that the Earth's a sphere. No.
Is this unorthodox that's talking right now?
Can I get my...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Flatsword, while we can hear you.
Thanks. Sorry, I had to change Wi-Fi again. Okay, 50, if you think we're so scared, don't you think it'd be better in their interest not to actually get rid of their opponents? Because that will just show they... What can I say wrong?
Say that again?
If you say we'd be scared for our lives, as I'm getting to it, why do you think they would actually eliminate the opponent? Because that's just proving their point wrong, because then they're showing they're wrong.
To shut you up.
Yeah.
And they would cover it up. You die from some kind of heart attack or some kind of natural phenomenon.
So is this unorthodox talking?
Hold on, let me just ask him a follow-up question. Just so you say to shut us up. So you're saying that if we were correct, we'd need shutting up.
Yes, if you're going up against the most powerful people in the world who control the world's militaries, the world's governments, you're up against killers.
Yeah. So they'd want to shut us up. That's all I needed. A yes. Yes, they'd need to shut you up. So given that we are literally censored on this platform and we're not showing in the research results for new people, would you not say that that's telling for your case?
No, they're not preventing you from streaming.
Sorry.
They're just not promoting it.
That's not what I said.
Two totally different things.
Sorry, that's not what I said. Did I say that?
That's all they have to do.
Sorry, I didn't say that. There's a fine balance, you see, in Orthodox. Obviously, like you've just had pointed out, if it's really overt and they just come round to our heads and our flats and chop our heads off, well, then that's going to be so telling that they're in the wrong. So you can't do too much, but you've got to do something. You say, if we're in the right, like shut us up. Now, while I'm not going to say, yeah, they've stopped us streaming, they have very much discussed publicly and published their concerns about what we say and how they're going to shut us up. But of course, you're now going to say, well, it's not this level of shutting up, though, even though by your standards that you've brought up, and I'm pointing out that that is happening, you're going to, now justify the level of shutting up that's currently going on. These are your concerns and not ours. I'll just say again what I said at the start. You're projecting your fears onto us.
I don't have any fears, Nathan.
You seem to be listing quite a few. I couldn't list them back to you, and I was like, well, what could you be scared of? I couldn't think of anything. Whereas you've got a whole bunch of things I should be scared of. The Freemasons, the conspiracy. I should be worried about death, them coming round, shutting me up. You've got a whole bunch of things you're worried about. Me, I'm not worried about anything. I can't even think of
Well,
things you should be worried
That's
about.
delusional, Nathan. You're uncovering the greatest conspiracy known to mankind. You should be concerned. Why aren't you concerned?
Is that what you're now? Which side of the fence are you on? An orthodox? You're not making any sense. Is this or is this not, according to you, the greatest conspiracy on earth, or nothing to see here? It can't be both.
I'm talking from your perspective.
You don't need to talk from my perspective, you arrogant little shit. Don't talk from my perspective. How dare you?
That's the whole thing, Nathan.
What, that you want to misrepresent what I do by projecting your fears onto me, telling me that it's from my perspective? Yeah, I know what projection is. Stop doing it.
Okay, so you don't think there's a world conspiracy that
I've said already, right? I've given you qualification for what my answer was already. When it comes to those topics coming up, I'll stop the conversation saying it is stupid to divine people's motivation. So, for all I know, while you're all worried about them coming and decapitating me, for all you know, the whole purpose of the sphere lie is for the greater good. And they can easily, if they were to tell you, well, we only lied because if we didn't, this disastrous thing might happen, and we're preventing that. We're really the good guys. You should really thank us for lying to you about being on a sphere, which is geometrically impossible. So thank us. So what should I fear these people that are secretly out to protect us with this lie? Well, that could be a scenario, but I'm not full of fear. You are. But you're telling me, from my perspective, that you have not got, that I should be fearful of all the things you list and you're concerned with. Apparently on my behalf. No, because you're worried about them. But because you're worried about them and you don't want to be, you need to project them out onto me to kind of help yourself not worry about them. Oh, well, fuck that. I'm not worried, mate. But I know for sure you are.
The point is you should be, Nathan.
And it's not just you. It's not just you. It's your entire narrative, because there are congressional meetings about talking about flat Earth and having to censor it, right? I mean, come on. What's the problem? If the Earth was a globe, it'd just be a globe. Flat Earthers running around shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, I don't really think it is.
Just because you're
if you don't think it's you're double speaking. If you don't think it's a problem, why are you telling me that I should be concerned?
I'm taking the mindset of a flat earther who believes there's a grand conspiracy.
But you don't have the mindset of a flat earther.
But you're straw manning us again, just like when you use your flat Earth model and make nothing can work. You're straw manning us.
The problem with the Globers is that yes, new flat Earth channels do pop up, but what happens is you get the people on the Globe side, much like yourself, that jump on those channels immediately and batter them so hard with bullshit and threats and doxing that they end up running away and the channels get shut down. It's only people that stick around, like Nathan, like me, like Tony, like Globusters, like Jaren, that stick around, and these are a thorn in your side. So now what you're doing is coming along and saying, well, you shouldn't be afraid. You're not afraid of us. What you need to now be afraid of is the militaries and the New World Order and etc., etc. Are you not frightened of them? No, we're not. That's why we're still sticking around. That's why we have channels. We are still doing this, regardless of whatever fear-mongering is going to come our way. We are still going to put the content out and get it out there. It doesn't matter. You're not going to shut us up.
I'm not trying to shut you up. I'm just asking why you're not afraid. And if you're brave, that's fine. But you got to admit that there is some danger level.
But also,
in doing what you're doing. If what you're doing is
like, why would they be in danger? The information's already out.
Yeah, the danger.
The question is, what are you afraid of, 50? What are you afraid of?
Yeah, that
getting
guy's got it.
revealed. And a way to do that is by people that actually hype on about that conspiracy by attacking them. It's called a martyr effect. So your concerns are lacking from are stemming from a lack of insight here, because that's not really how a cover-up works like that.
Yeah, beware. Half the population is
Okay,
going
well,
to
hey,
get
I
killed
posted my
someday.
What's going to
thing in
happen
chat.
when
So can we look at
officially,
that?
for example, flat Earth would become illegal and there would literally be police raids? Yeah, guess what? Everybody in the world suddenly going to have their eye on flat Earth. Like, why is that happening? How does that make sense? Were they forwarding in order to justify this action? What have flat earthers supposedly done? Guess what? There's going to be millions of people suddenly making it their task to figure out the conspiracy about why that happened and gazing at flat earth information at the same time. It's going to explode. They do that.
The
So
only
that's why they don't.
conspiracy,
And we're not
the only,
afraid of it.
the only
It's not
conspiracy
that
here
type
is
of
the
conspiracy.
Globers.
All right.
Is
Let
somebody going to present
Platwitz
the paper
Hold on,
speak.
really
just
quick?
give him a chance to respond. Go ahead, Unorthodox. Do you want to respond?
I was just curious. It's fine. We can move on. I was wanting to present this paper really quick. I posted it in chat.
Someone bring up
Or just a quick
Unorthodox.
excerpt from it.
Sure. Is that what you've got presented, Paul?
Yeah, it's in the Discord chat. You have to scroll down to the 2 theories heading.
Editorial note on the Newtonian limit of Einstein's theory of gravitation.
Okay.
Yes. So scroll down to the 2 theories heading. It's not very far down.
Paul?
The only real fears I have
Don,
concerning
I've
this
just said, look, when he
conspiracy
presents,
is the happening.
when he presents, just wait till he's done. It's going to be gaps while he does things. Okay, we're on to 2 theories. Go ahead.
It's loading. It's loading on my screen. Just a second. I've got to have it loaded on the live stream to read it.
Fine, you got a few minutes.
I have to read the first paragraph.
Will there be a second show
So I'm on
later on
push
your
to
other
talk.
channel, Nathan?
Yeah, there will be.
A second live show on Nathan Oakley channel.
Yes.
Can somebody
Be
read
there
the
or be
2 theories, just like the first 4 sentences?
Is it not loading on your screen? Is that why you need someone to read it?
Yeah, it's not loading.
Who wants to volunteer?
Not me.
Somebody read it. Can somebody read it, please?
I can't because I'm cooking. So
Anybody at all?
I would, but my mic is awful.
Right. 2 theories. People have often pointed out that the concepts behind general relativity and Newtonian physics are entirely different, and one has to understand not only formally how the Newtonian equations arise through a limiting process from the geometrical theory of Einstein, but also how the content of concepts translates from one to the other. Any more?
That's basically it.
Concept.
So I just wanted to present that. Do what? I just wanted to present that because there's always a lot of discussion about, well, did Einstein replace Newton? Blah 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 blah, and that's from a journal that on general relativity and gravitation that publishes monthly. It's been publishing for 25 plus years. That tells you that Newtonian equations arise from Einstein's theory. They're one and the same.
What?
Einstein was a
What do you
continuation of
read?
Newton.
I think historically that should be the other way around, but
Sorry,
sure.
did you say?
Yeah.
Did you say
And
Einstein and Newton
compete-
are the same? Is that what you said?
Einstein came and filled in the gaps. Newton is a special case of Einsteinian gravity.
So you think the two, one could
It comes
derive
from
from the
eliminating
other?
the
Hold on,
geometric
just let me
equations,
ask my
low speed,
question.
low-
So you think one can derive from the other mathematically?
Yes, that's exactly what it just said.
No, they can't.
Can I,
Hold on.
can I highlight
What?
something?
Jesus.
This is a paper on general relativity and gravitation.
So you think that things that are in totally different geometries can derive from one another mathematically? You're incorrect.
Citation.
No. It's your claim that they can. So I'd like you to
Yeah, just
show
prove
me.
it with a
Don't
citation.
talk through me. You're getting a pummeling. And I'm going to speak nice and slowly and calmly and clearly, and you're not going to talk through me. It is your positive claim that one can derive from the other. So you show me Euclidean going into pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. You show me that mathematically. Not me cite it not doing it, you fucktard. You show me it doing it. Go now.
Okay, I can show you that.
Go.
Okay, you're gonna have to present it. I'll post the link in the chat. Hold on.
You won't post the link. It can't be done. You're lying.
It can be done. Don't ask me to do something and then tell me I can't do it. I can do it, and I have it right here.
You're a liar.
Wow.
You're a liar.
This should be special.
I know he's lying. It can't be done. They're in completely different
If you know I'm lying, present
mathematics.
it and show the people the lie.
Okay. Let me ask this then. In your claim to be derivative mathematics, in the Euclidean, where in the Euclidean is space-time?
Euclidean geometry.
Yeah, where in Euclidean is space-time? Where is the time part? The fourth part of Einstein's mathematics. Where are they in Euclidean? Where are they? Are they there?
I can show them to you.
In Euclidean.
Can he name the fourth part?
In Euclidean.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he know what frame theory is?
Let me show you.
He's just wrong. He's lying. He's lying. He's mistaken. He's wrong. But he's going to keep telling me he's right and he can do it. So if you posted it
Real quick.
I'm keeping
I'm
the
about
live
to step
show open.
away real quick. I'll step away.
Just want to know, does he know what frame theory is?
He's got a couple of seconds to show us this derivative maths. This four space
Hold on,
in
I'll
Euclidean.
I'll post it in the Discord chat.
Okay, someone bring it up. Keep the live show a little bit longer. But he got it in live chat?
I have to step away. Just I don't know if you heard me.
Any chance you can bring up what's just been posted by him? It will not be space-time in Euclidean geometry. It will not be that.
I could try to get it and post it in Master B if you want.
Yeah, please. Or if
This?
Again, do you know what frame theory is?
Are you asking an orthodox?
Yeah, if he knows what frame theory is.
To be honest, I don't want to get into a new conversation. I just want whatever he's presented that's claimed to be a derivative of non-Euclidean and Euclidean in being derivative of each other. I want to see that before I round out the live show. That's all I want to see. Then I'm rounding out the live show.
Okay, I just posted it.
Someone present it, please.
Where?
It's in live stream, Discord.
Radio check.
Hello.
I'm not.
Hey, Kiwi.
Thanks.
I mean, you would think the journal article from a 35-year-old peer-reviewed journal on general relativity and gravitation stating such would be enough.
Who cares? It isn't. You have to show the equations.
He's saying he can show them. No one's bringing them up. I need somebody to go into Discord and present them so I can show that they're not what he claims. And then I can round out the live show. Shout out to Retro Bill. Says, when ballers try to foul Siffy the Black Swan. I don't know what that means. Foul Siffy? Okay. The Black Swan. Owl hell breaks loose. Oh, it's full of puns. They know it's nest big thing. I'm going to try that one again now. I know it's full of puns. Ren ballers try to foul Siffy the Black Swan. Owl hell breaks loose. They know it's the nest big thing. My God, that was difficult, Retro Bill. Thank you very much for the super chat, though. Really appreciate your support. Right. Has anybody brought up what he presented? Oh, it looks like
I think so. Newton's gravity law.
I don't see it in the live stream.
I'm sharing it on Nathan's show.
Okay.
It's called Newton's gravity law, right?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Where are we looking for? What are we looking for?
Looking at the mathematics and how how Einstein collapses into.
You got to make it bigger.
Make it bigger?
Yeah.
All right.
So there you go.
Oh, there it is, right? What's this? What's 2GM? What's the G?
That's a big G.
Yeah, that's not part of Newton's equation.
Excuse me, an orthodox. Yeah, I've let you bring it up so we can absolutely pummel it, not so you can rumpus the rebuttal. So sit your ass down.
Yes. First of all, in your journal, there are not two theories. Isaac Newton never proposed a scientific theory in his life. That's number one. Number two, your little equation here, which one of the 10 field equations is this of Newton?
It's the one that's
I'm sorry,
currently on the
of
screen.
Einstein. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Einstein. You don't know because you're just a pretender clown. Let's just get to the big deal. How is this representing Newtonian's universal law of gravitation, please?
Well, it's about let's see how many steps it is. You're going to have to walk through each step. It's approximately
I didn't
11
say
steps.
I said that G. That G in the equation right there.
What?
Where'd that come from?
That's big G. You know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Cavendish.
I know where it comes from. You don't. Because that's not Newtonian.
I just told you where it comes from. It comes from Cavendish.
So it's not
No, it
Newtonian.
doesn't come from Cavendish either.
It's not Newtonian. That's the point.
And it's not Cavendish either.
Newton's equation was F equals big G
Negative.
1 times n
Wrong.
divided by r squared.
Wrong.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Right. So this is not. Hold on. This is not Euclidean into pseudo-Ramonian then.
This is taking Einstein's field theory and showing that it collapses into Newton's laws of motion.
Yeah, it collapses all right.
Laws of gravity.
Implodes in on
Newton's law
itself.
of
Let's
gravity,
get back to
excuse
the
me.
G.
Not laws of motion.
Let's get clown show. That's what's new. You said Newton's equation was FG equals big G. That's not Newton's equation, son. And Cavendish didn't find big G either.
His paper was used to later find big G.
So this isn't it being shown then. This is just warranting discussion about where the G's come from, as opposed to it being cast iron proof that you can derive one from the other. So I think I'm happy to go to the after show that. If you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley channel, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show with lots of boring discussions about where this G came from. However, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Also, a massive thank you to all of today's G Plus and Discord panels for making this live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley channel. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
The real question is, how can we help you with your fears, whether it's U50 or other Globus?
No. Let's get back to the point.
I don't have any
Right?
fears.
He said that big G was part of the universal law of gravitation. It wasn't. Moreover, I want you to put two masses into that equation, and I want you to solve it. Einstein's field equation. I want you to do it right now.
That's what this is.
I want you to do it right now. I want you to put two masses in there right now.
That's
and
what
solve
the presentation was.
And solve it.
Can I phrase that as a question for him? Hold on. Can I phrase that?
Something that was already done.
Can this equation solve for two masses?
Nope.
Do you want me to repeat?
I'm flipping back and forth here.
Just out of interest, in our universe, just out of interest, just a quick question. Quick question. Is there more than two masses in our universe?
No.
No. No. No.
No, of course not. There's only two masses. You didn't know that?
You think there's only one mass, one object ever, one thing?
Talk about a red herring. Good lord.
It's a simple question you've answered no to. That's ludicrous.
Jokingly, because it's a red herring.
It's just a simple yes or no question that you've answered incorrectly. Is there more than one mass?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, it's specifically relevant to the mathematical equation that you posted, because the field equations can't solve for more than one mass. And I'm asking if we have more than one mass in the universe.
It takes a
True
different
how
form.
you were asked a question, you answered the question the way you answered it, you got held to it, and then you want to call fallacy. You guys are adorable. You really are.
What? What'd you say?
He asked you if there's more than one mass. You said no.
Yeah,
Right?
obviously, because that's.
And then when he holds you to that, you call red herring? Really?
Yes.
You're
What does
bugged
that
out,
have
bro.
to do with this?
Sorry, you're saying it has nothing to do with this? We're very specifically detailing the mathematics of what you think the world is, based on what this wanker called Einstein has derived mathematically from his head, and how useful it is. And we're saying it's not useful for more than one mass. And do we have more than one mass? And your answer was no. And then when I said no, with a very high upward inflection, you called red herring. Now, Chocolate's just broken down that little diatribe of shite that we've had from you. And what's next? Tell us that we should be scared, maybe.
You want me to show you the form that it takes whenever
Is this what's going to scare the Freemasons? Will it scare the Freemasons? Hold on. Just let's check. Is this not terrifying at all, shouldn't worry about it, or should be absolutely terrified of being beheaded by Freemasons? Which one is it?
I'm not going up against the Freemasons.
Yeah, we're going up against you, though, aren't we? With the mathematics that you've taken as being punted by Freemasons, I don't give a shit. They're just maths that we can prove to be wrong. Not really worried about whether I piss off the Freemasons by proving maths to be wrong. But you're definitely being shown to be wrong. Now, if that makes you concerned that there's a grand conspiracy being exposed by just how wrong you are in your beliefs in these mathematics, then that's a very big concern for you. Me, it's a right laugh. It's a right laugh watching you squirm.
I'm watching you squirm right now because I just
I'm squirming. Man, this is so awkward. Oh man, I'm in a sofa, right? Literally with my feet up, laughing at you, and you think I'm squirming? No, not at all.
Can we summarize this train wreck?
Yes, please.
Please.
Number one, there are no two theories. Newton never proposed a scientific theory in his life, and general relativity isn't a scientific theory. Number two, there is no big G in Newton's law of universal gravitation. So I don't know what that big G is doing inside Einstein's field equations. And number three, there are no known solutions for any of Einstein's field equations for two or more masses. You're dead. This is all nonsense.
I can't. Did you really just say there's no G?
That's what you call a rap.
That's a rap, Orthodox, and I got to go get some breakfast. Take over, Nathan.
I ask anybody who's listening to go look up Newton's law of universal gravitation. You'll see it's F equals big G m1 times m2 divided by r.
Yeah, Newton's laws weren't right.
What he said was completely false.
Yeah, they weren't right.
That's the thing. And yes, there's very special solutions to Einstein's field equation. That's correct.
Who cares?
At least he knows that.
It's field equations. Who gives a shit?
Well, I mean, you guys do. You guys are debunking it, and I showed you how Newton arises from a limitation of Einsteinian gravity.
Really? We've just pointed out a massive flaw in the whole process. It can't solve for more than one mass. It's essentially useless to us. We don't care. You can go on and on. When we started at the start of the show explaining how we can just relinquish the shackles and the burden of cognitive processing when it comes to these concepts that you hold so dear and need to argue and process. We just don't care. They're not important. They're just concepts. These field equations, they're meaningless. Meaningless concepts that you concern yourself with greatly and worry about the consequences of them being exposed to be wrong, when I don't even need to worry about them being right. You do.
They are right. They're used in engineering.
See? So you're deeply concerned with how right they are, and I go, they're just concepts. They literally mean nothing to me, and they do nothing. They're not real. It's not consequential in any way, shape, or form. But you're deeply concerned about it and telling me how worried I should be. Don't you understand what's going on here?
Deeply concerned about it.
Yeah, you're telling me I should be concerned with exposing how wrong you are when you process this garbage of concepts, yeah? And whether or not your garbage that you process of concepts, if proven wrong, the consequences thereof, how concerned I should be with that. No, I'm not in the slightest. You are, though, very much so, as you're demonstrating here.
No,
yeah, you are. You are. You're deeply concerned about it. You brought it up. You wanted to do a presentation about it. You're obviously concerning yourself with it. You've just done a presentation on it. It's self-fucking-evident.
Unorthodox. I don't go on channels that believe in unicorns and try to prove them wrong by any equation. What are you doing here?
He's very concerned. He's sharing his pain.
Not only that.
It's the same as all of them. He's sharing his pain. This is them sharing their pain. Him overtly projecting it onto us is just a really weak psychological little ploy to make himself feel better while he expresses his pain. And I'm all for it. Share your pain. Worried about conspiracies, are you? Worried about conspiracies, are you? Share your pain. That's what we're here for. Oh, don't worry about the Freemasons. You should have just asked us. If you're worried about the Freemasons, don't be. There you go.
I mean,
we should ask them to share their fear, not share their pain. Come off mute and share your fear about the truth.
Same thing. Fear, pain, all the same thing.
If you guys think I have any fear,
yeah,
anything
I know.
Yeah.
Now this is called denial. I know you are in pain. That is self-evident by your concern. And you are indeed concerned about these equations you've just done a presentation on. I've just pointed out how self-evident that is. Now you're into denial. It's all very amusing.
Yeah.
Please answer my question that I asked on Unorthodox. What are you doing here, since you equate our beliefs in the similar manner of someone believing in unicorns that don't exist? What are you doing here with your precious time? What are you trying to achieve?
I never said that.
Well, what are you doing here? You're here. What are you doing here on the topic that doesn't exist?
Show us
topic
stupidity.
Doesn't exist. I'm having a goof.
Flat Earth is wrong to you. We're a globe, so we're crazy. It's like believing in unicorns that don't exist. What are you doing here?
I'm having a goof.
That's what he said last time he got pummeled. That's what he said last time he got pummeled. And then later on, he's all for the argument being listened to and how he's here to learn. But when he gets absolutely pummeled, he's here to goof off. You know, just make light of it. That's another defense mechanism for somebody who's in cognitive pain. Make light of the circumstances that you're in. Laugh about them. Yeah, it's good. You laugh about it. It's good.
I'm in so much pain.
Yeah. We know.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, we know. You've expressed that here through projection. We know.
Okay.
So if we could have a quick subject change real quick, right? So Unorthodox, remember how you were trying to explain to me about your understanding of the Black Swan and your misunderstanding, maybe I should say? Would you like to share with us what how you feel about the Black Swan argument?
Well, I kind of wanted to do that on like a live show if I'm ever going to talk about it. Nathan saw the video though.
Yeah, it was weak.
Weak as shit.
That was a belly laugher.
It was great, wasn't it?
You clown, you.
I'm glad he shared his pain, though. It's obviously that was another tell. Clearly, deeply concerning for you. Put a little bit of effort and concern into making a video about it. Maybe tell me how little you're concerned about this. I love it.
This clown, right, thinks that just because the name Black Swan is the name in the fallacy, the Black Swan fallacy, he thinks it's a fallacy because of that. You're a retard. I'm getting ready for another
called
toe
the
tag.
Black
I got 3 of them for
Swan
you anyway. This will be number 4.
Well, let's
What a
just confirm
knucklehead
that's the
you are.
truth. Let's just confirm that's true.
It's a textbook
So what
fallacy.
what's
It's a classic
what
fallacy,
is
the Black Swan fallacy?
what is Karl Popper's Black Swan? Go.
I don't know who Karl Popper is, but I know.
That's absolutely
Wow.
brilliant. So, absolutely
you know
love
how I
you.
know that's bullshit unorthodox? Because when you shared this nonsense with me in Discord, I sent you what we were talking about, which proves to us that you don't even pay attention to what the hell we're saying. Good job, buddy.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Oh, so how
but
the hell
argument
do
is
you
Black
not
Swan
know who
fallacy.
Karl Popper is then? You just played
Okay, well,
yourself
let
hard.
me explain to you the Black Swan
You-
fallacy.
no, you
tell
don't
me how
need to
you know.
explain shit. We just asked you who Karl Popper was. You said you don't know. But I just told you
What
I
does
sent
Karl
you
Popper
something
have to
that
do with you
directly
guys
has his
committing a
name
Black
on it
Swan
with the
fallacy?
Black Swan and described, and you said, no. Okay? That's you.
Because I don't remember the guy's name. I mean, what a
Well,
joke.
maybe you didn't do a careful research. I mean, you're making videos and shit, but you don't know the guy's name. You don't know what you're talking about. It's pretty sad, unorthodox.
You're saying the Black Swan disproves the notion of a globe. It only takes one Black Swan to disprove the notion of Swan White. And some people think that's the Black Swan fallacy. That's not. That's a misinterpretation. That's not actually the Black Swan. But
Yeah,
maybe that's what you guys are
don't know
talking
it.
about. Regardless,
It's
still,
not.
what
You
you're
don't
saying
know who
is
Karl
still
Popper
the
is.
classic
The guy
textbook
who coined
Black
this
Swan fallacy.
example, you don't know who he is. But you're going to tell us it's not what the Black Swan is, even though the very person who coined it, you don't know. But you're going to tell us that's not what it is, correct? You don't think that given that
talking
we've
about
just told you...
Black
Don't
Swan
interrupt.
fallacy.
Don't interrupt. Given that we've just told you a name that you're unfamiliar with and then laughed at you, rather than going on to tell us how we don't understand how this works, this Black Swan analogy, wouldn't it be more prudent to actually go out and find out who he was and what he had to say about the Black Swan, rather than immediately telling us that we've got it wrong, even though you don't even know who he is? The arrogance level's off the scale.
I know the story. I just don't remember the guy's name, Nathan. So here's the Black Swan fallacy.
Can
The Black Swan
you name the
one in which
philosophy that he
arguer
was talking
ignored
about?
contradicting
Hello,
evidence.
unorthodox. Can you
Hold
don't
on,
know his
I'll
name?
tell you the
Okay,
Black Swan
fine. Can you
fallacy, okay?
describe the idea he came up with?
I just told you it. What I believe it is a minute ago. That the
Could you
notion of
repeat
one
that?
black swan disproves the statement that all swans are white.
Yeah.
I might be
There you go.
mistaken a little bit, but
So
I just said that.
So hold on. That's a logical consistency, though, isn't it? That's not a fallacy.
Yep.
There's a fallacy as it relates to it because a lot of people misinterpret that.
Sorry,
It's
there's a lot of
the
people
Black Swan
who
fallacy.
misinterpret that. So have we misinterpreted it? Man, you'd think you'd be all over this, man. You're telling us we got it wrong. I'm giving you a nice, clear bit of air to tell us how it's been misinterpreted. And rather than you using that clear, there's a long pause. And then while I point out there's a great long pause, you start talking through me. What, so you can seem like you've got something to say? You haven't got a clue what you're talking about. Your rebuttal was the worst one to date in this regard. Your level of stupidity was off the scale. And your level of arrogance is the same.
So the white swan is the globe.
No.
You're saying
No.
There can't be a black swan.
No. The
Okay,
white swan would be no. No. You're going to keep talking while I've said no 5 times. You're going to decide that yes, even though we've said no. You've asked it as a question. I've said no 4 times, and you've kept talking. The arrogance level. No.
Okay.
No, it's still time to seem like you've got something important to say while I'm saying no to your stupid statement that you just made. No, that's wrong. You're just wrong. Still thinking you need to hold the mic. Stupid morons. Yeah, got a lot to say when I'm talking. When I leave a nice pause for you, you've got nothing to say. But when I'm talking, you think you need to be talking, don't you, moron? Because you need to seem like you've got something to say. So you're going to talk while I'm talking. So it seems like you've got something important to say. Maybe after you've talked through me 5 more times, you'll call foul that I'm muting you. when you're trying to stop me from talking and simultaneously seem like you've got something to say. Now, I asked you specifically if you understood the analogy. You've said that white swans mean globe, when the white swan analogy is specifically about a geometric horizon. We've said to, I don't know, at least a dozen fundies while he talks continually through me, because that's what they do. They're stupid. I am talking, telling you what's what. That doesn't require you to talk while I'm talking, you stupid little boy. Understand that you are wrong. You've said white swan is globe, Earth is globe. No. How many times do we have to tell you morons? It's the arguments about the horizon. Yeah? All white swans would mean all horizons. And there he goes again, because he's a fuckwit. I'm telling you that which you don't understand, but you're so arrogant that you feel while you're being told you need to be talking. Yeah? That's because you're stupid. That's what stupid people do. When they're being told and corrected, they talk.
Okay,
so
well,
shut up.
Shut
up. You are currently the stupidest person here, demonstrating it continually. By what you're doing now, I still haven't finished. And you think it's your turn to talk.
You need to be quiet.
You need to shut up. Because you're wrong. You don't understand the black swan analogy. You're in the same boat as lots of other people. There are plenty of other people who are just as stupid as you. But that doesn't mean you need to talk while I tell you what the analogy is and tell you how it compares to your reified sphere Earth religion. All white swans. And there he goes again. You see, this is why you fundies remain eternally stupid. You won't be told. He's decided he's right and can't bear the idea of being wrong and being told and being corrected. So he continually talks through me. Now, we have a word for this. It's called the fundamentalist religious globehead mute button. He's decided I'm not going to get to say this. So he'll interrupt me and talk through me and cut my mic at every given opportunity. Rather than be demonstrated to be stupid, he's censoring me. Just like Rumpus does when he's proven to be wrong. They've all got the same tactic. I'm still talking and he's still interrupting. There won't be a point where I get to actually summarise my point because he's decided while I'm talking that he's going to be talking. And it doesn't matter how long I continue this sentence and how long I have to work my breath so there's no gaps whatsoever so that he can think he's got a chance to interrupt and censor what I'm saying. The black swan argument, I guarantee there'll be an interruption in this statement. The black swan argument is about the horizon and your globe necessity for a geometric horizon that is geometrically impossible in that image. Ergo, we don't have a spherical geometric horizon. That's the argument. The black swan proves that it's not geometric because it can't be geometric beyond a certain limitation of that geometry. Once you disprove it beyond that limitation, it cannot ever be described as a geometric horizon ever again. The counterpoint to this from your side is to assert that we have both the horizon we experience and a geometric horizon because they have, at least at some level, understood the problem. Now you don't even understand the analogy. So it's not your opportunity to tell me how wrong we are with the Karl Popper analogy when it comes to this picture of these platforms with a horizon in a position which is geometrically impossible for a sphere. I thank you.
Okay, so now my turn to go without being interrupted.
No, now my turn to round out the show. You stupid dick. You think this is your show? No. What a fool. With that, I'll say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Another massive thank you to the Discord and G+ panels, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!